What's up, family? Welcome back to another episode of Dag Life Podcast here at the Dean Aguilar Group in San Diego. This week's episode number 3, comes with a very dear friend of mine on the team, Miss Christine Menezes, who will be joining us today talking about herself, more about real estate and beyond, because that's what this podcast is about. Not just real estate, also life beyond real estate with the crew here and people to come. So, jumping into obviously what we're going to be talking about today, Christine, as we get to know you and you're about to introduce yourself to the world. Tell us a little bit about Christine, a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate, and what that transition was like for you.
Yeah, so I was born and raised in the Middle East, so by ethnicity I'm Middle Eastern Indian, and I spent a major part of my life there, having just moved to San Diego a couple of years ago. Life was very different there,
I bet.
night and day. If you have to compare, and I've had to compare, I've had no choice. So making that initial adjustment from what I was used to and the hand that fed me was very difficult when I first got here.
Right.
Um, but I did get into real estate when I was in Bahrain in the Middle East, and that was towards the end of my time there. So I did that for about 5 or 6 years, mostly in the rental space.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I met my husband. And fast forward 8 years later, here we are today.
Here we are.
And yeah, I didn't know what else to do with myself, so I was like, no, I'm gonna do real estate.
So quite the journey, right?
Yes.
Coming from the Middle East, coming from Bahrain, life
Yeah.
is completely different in that part of the world
Yeah.
compared to here. Um, when we talk about adjustments and challenges and difficulties, life throws them at us all the time.
Correct.
In terms of your transition over here to the States and also here in San Diego, what was that process like for you in a nutshell, and what were some of the harder components and some of the maybe easier ones?
Wow. So the transition was, I think I'm still dealing with the transition
Mhm.
in a small way.
How long have you been here again?
This is my third year.
Third year, okay.
So I'm still dealing with the transition,
Of
right?
course.
Sometimes those habits that you're used to, the culture, just the backdrop of where you were born and brought up and raised is hard to let go of, and then to at a certain point in your life to get used to something completely different, it takes its time.
Right.
I don't force it, I embrace it, but I have to say that I have a super supportive family, associates that I call family. Let me correct myself. So it's been easier to sponge it all in. So
Right.
yeah, I think one of the hardest things was the real estate that we did there was completely different to what we do here.
So talk. So let's elaborate on that, right? Because I think it's interesting when you think about real estate, not only in San Diego but also California and then the U.S. because every state's different, right?
Correct.
Even North America is different. So
Yeah.
real estate's done differently all over the world. If you can share what it's like in Bahrain, what does that look like in a nutshell?
Yeah, so the Middle East, I mean, let's talk about Bahrain because that's where I did real estate. Predominantly, when I started in real estate, it was mostly focused on the rental space,
Mm-hmm.
and that too 100% with active duty military because we have a huge base over there and it's been existent for decades now.
Right.
So when any active duty military, their family, or the DoD gets PCS to Bahrain, our job was to find them a good space that they could call home for 2 to 3 years. And I had never dealt with that before because I come from a corporate background. And at some point in my life, I just got tired of sitting behind a desk. I wanted to do something different, which put me in front of people. And I think a chance meeting where I bumped into who is now my older sister, and I love her to bits. She was my mentor at the time, and she still operates and works there. Had a boutique brokerage. A chance, like we just bumped into each other over brunch, and she's like, "Hey, rumor has it you're looking to freelance in real estate," and I was like, "Yeah, I actually am. Small world." She's like, "Well, if you're born and raised in the country, a lot of people will know who you are."
Yeah.
So we are kind of looking for someone. So there was a niche, there was an opening, and we just made it happen. So a door opened for me there, and after that, many doors opened. So going back to your question, rental real estate was different. Yes, we did have to get licensed. We had to specifically be registered within the military base so that we were allowed to service our active duty
Right.
military family members. And it wasn't an exhaustive process as it is here. And I say exhaustive in the sense we didn't have like 100-page document to sign a contract. Ours was literally 3 pages.
Yeah.
So that was
Sounds about right. Sounds about right.
So it was fun, and we little nuances that are different. So we would actually go physically pick up our clients and take them around in our car. So we would serve them.
How it was done old school style here, which is not
Absolutely.
necessarily the case for most people
Yes,
anymore.
yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the first difference I felt when I was here, because I remember my husband saying, "Well, babe, you're not going to drive 1 hour to Temecula to pick up your clients and then drive all the way back to San Diego." I was like, "Well, that's refreshing. That's
Yeah.
different." So that was a little change, and then their time in Bahrain would be anywhere from about 2 to 3, sometimes 5 years, just depending on the nature of their work. So that kept me super busy and on my feet for approximately 5 years.
It's great.
I loved it. It was just different.
And then obviously coming over to San Diego, huge culture shock,
Yes.
huge life shock,
Yes.
right? In terms of talking about expectations, in terms of talking about like what you're expecting overall for like what your life is going to look like, did that either meet expectations or exceed expectations, or has San Diego fallen short of those expectations?
No, that's such a great question. I had vacationed in San Diego before when at the time, my boyfriend and I started dating, who's now my husband. I visited San Diego 3 times prior to, so I'd always like experienced the niceties, the tourist spots,
Yep.
the places people go to and hang out. Living here is completely different.
For sure.
I come from a land where there's no taxes, and it's not expensive there. People think the Middle East is expensive. Now, Dubai is a different thing, but having when we don't have taxes, you come here and everything's taxed, and that too so high. It was a shock for me.
For sure.
I mean, it created a hole in my pocket pretty fast.
I think we can all attest to that, right? Especially
and
here in
that hole
California.
just grows bigger and bigger
Every single day.
but living here was a whole other ballgame. Like, it was different. The houses were different. Everything over there is concrete, and over here it's like wood. And I'm like, oh, reminds me of the Three Little Pigs story. So in my head, I was like, wow, this is so different. The food is completely different. Driving was different. So I had to start from ground up with all these little things, and then at a certain point, and I must admit, when I got here, I was like, I don't know if I want to do real estate because I'm dealing with so much to take in right now.
Mhm.
So for the first 3 months, I actually did start off with a corporate job, great company, and I just couldn't do it. I
Right.
knew that my heart was not in it, and I had decided to take that step into real estate again. A lot of people who I consider family and very close to my heart advised me not to do it. Um, and let's just say I've always been a rebel. If somebody tells me not to do something,
We're gonna fucking do it. I love that, and it's funny because I talked with on the last episode with Rich, Rich V, was also about straying off the course in the reserve of what you're supposed to do, or what people tell you, or what they think you should do,
Yeah.
but doing what you ultimately want to do.
Yeah.
So right, you said your heart was in it, your head was in it, something you wanted to fully pursue. In terms of going all into real estate again, back here being in San Diego, what have you seen to be, maybe the most challenging part so far, other than getting accustomed to how things are done here?
I think the most challenging part for me when I got into real estate, because I'm not going to lie, I thought it would be easier for me because I had a little bit of a background in real estate. And there are certain things in dealing with people that I love. I love to be in front of people.
Right.
That was not different. You're dealing with different sorts of people on a day-to-day basis in real estate.
Well, let's call it what
In real estate.
let's call it what it is, right? A lot of people look at real estate as sales. Yeah, that's a component to it, but real estate is about relationships.
It really is.
Relationships and your reputation and rapport and all that whole component, your relationships with people is gonna help the people that are actually gonna be successful and really good in real estate, right? For a lot of those people that don't have those people building skills or those association skills, you're probably gonna fall a little bit behind. So using that to your advantage, that's a strength of yours, which I think we can all attest to here at the team. So obviously leaning into that relationship component, where did that continue for you?
I mean, it continued. I think what I didn't anticipate was all the different legalities, the forms, California being the state that it is, and all of that. First of all, going through the whole real estate course, which in my humble opinion was the toughest thing I'd had to do since I left college.
But none of it is actual real estate, right?
No, but then again, I'm so stubborn for my own, I'm too stubborn for myself. So I was like, nope, I'm going to pass this test. I'm going to get my license and I'm going to work in real estate. I don't care what people say, and I'm gonna do a really good job because I'm gonna make a lot of families happy. And I wanted to be a part of that narrative in their life. I wanted to have that change. and it gives me pure joy. Like everything else that happens in between and after, yeah, it's a byproduct of being in the business.
Right.
But I don't think I could have even done any of these without the support I get from all of you guys. So I do have to say I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's going to kind of lead into where we're transitioning to. Because I think, one thing that we love to speak about obviously is the family, right?
Yep.
The Dag Life family,
Yep.
the Dag way,
Mhm.
Dag Life for life, right? In terms of like, obviously we know what got you in the real estate. We know why you transitioned here to San Diego.
Yeah.
What ended up making you choose the Dean Aguilar Group?
That's such a great.
Such a great question. So I had remembered. So I joined Real Broker first as
Okay.
a solo agent for just a couple of days, and then I was like, I need help. But I kept thinking about it, and I didn't do anything about it because I didn't know which direction to
Mhm.
head. And I started doing like property tours on my own. And at the time, we were living in Coronado, so I remember clearly walking into this open house, and at that time, I met. Um, who is a very dear friend of mine now, Jamie Harris.
Jamie Z.
Jamie
Shout out
Z.
to Jamie
We all
Z. Love you, girl.
love her so much. We're not like in touch as much as we'd like to be, but
Mhm.
it's that silent relationship that we have. If we need each other, I know she's got my back, and she knows I'm there for her.
For sure.
But she was doing a property tour in the same house, and it was so funny. It's like in the movies, we both just looked at each other and smiled. It's like love at first sight, I think.
Friendship at first sight.
And we just bonded. We just started talking. And one of the first few things she just said, she's like, you're going to do so well. It may take time for you, but you're going to do amazing. I can see it in your heart. And at that time, I thought she was just, just trying to be so sweet.
That's
and
Jamie
kind.
through and through.
Absolutely.
We love her.
That's just who she is. And push comes to shove, she never tried to, talk to me about anything. All she did was, hey, I want you to come with me. I'm going on this amazing conference in Temecula, and you're going to get to meet Sharon and everyone else and all that. And I had already started following Sharon prior to. He just
Smart
popped up on
Smart
my
woman.
algorithm, and I'm like, I love him. Like, I love Sharon so much. I love what he says. Anything that comes out of his mouth is just.
It's pure gold.
It's genius.
It's pure gold. It's genius. It's his Sharonisms, right? He does things in his own way, but we all love it. And I think that's why he's such an impactful leader as a president of Real. And I think that's not only what's trickled down to all the agencies, but also all the agents individually, right? So
Yeah.
But
I also think that there's a culture aspect involved with it, and just that deep care and concern for each and every agent, how much he puts himself out there.
for sure.
But going back to Temecula and Jamie, I went to the conference and I saw all these amazing agents. Everyone seemed so bonded. They all seemed to know each other, and I obviously was like, needle in a haystack. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm just gonna sit here.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this was about a year ago.
It was.
That's right.
And then I see this amazing, stunning couple walk in, and she nudges me. She goes, "That's Dean and Aphrodite." I was like, "Who are they?" I had no idea, right? And she's like, "No, they have one of the biggest teams here in San Diego." And I just remember watching them, and I was so floored by their presence. Like it was like some sort of celebrities just walked in.
And I think that's when it comes to people's character and their charisma, there's a difference between leadership and bosses.
Yeah.
And I think the way that they carry themselves, not only for themselves and their family in Real, but also for the team. And just the way they are as human beings. And I felt the same way when I met them over 3 years ago. It's the way they carry themselves, and they help us and help everyone understand that this is what a leader is supposed to be and supposed to look like compared to what a boss is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we can all take away, because at the end of the day, they have our backs more than anybody else.
Absolutely.
They love us to death.
Oh
They're
my
always trying to
gosh.
set up for success. And I think that's a testament to why 99% of us joined DAG in the first place.
Absolutely. And at that time, I had no idea I was joining DAG. I didn't know what DAG was. I had no clue. But she did introduce me to them, and they were so humble and so welcoming and saying hello and everything. I loved the conference, and at that time, I was like, that's it. I am going to join Real, because I am completely taken aback with this brokerage. It was just different. It really was. So fast forward a couple of weeks later, I joined Real, and then I spoke to Jamie. I was like, Jamie, hey, I think I need some help because I need some sort of direction and guidance. Let's call it training wheels, shall we? So I needed those training wheels, right? And I knew what I needed to do. I just needed direction, guidance, and a slight push. She's like, because she's a solo agent,
Of course.
and her recommendation was for me to join DAG.
Okay.
She actually introduced me to Dean and Afro physically at the Temecula conference, and then she opened. Next thing I know, it's a text thread, and the next thing you know, I'm sitting in front of Galen's office. You know, the old office.
Yeah, of course.
I miss that office. And then here I am. But wow, I can honestly say that the confidence that I walked into DAG with is nowhere close to the confidence I have now in my business. And let's just be specific. I'm not talking about me being overconfident. I just feel a sense of security now
100%.
that I never did before.
And that's natural.
Did before.
And that's natural, right? And I love you for saying that and for being vulnerable at that point, because your growth from day one has been tenfold. And it's been amazing to see. It's been amazing to watch. It's been amazing to be a part of. So super excited about that.
Well, you're part of that too.
I would like to think so. I know there's a lot of people that are. So we'll obviously give love to the entire team for being such a supportive component for you, and obviously looking forward to seeing you excel and crush it, right? Just like Jamie said.
Thank you.
And you know, we had this conversation with Rich. He said the same thing when he started 4 years ago. It takes time.
Yeah.
But if it's real estate needs to be one of those things where you're all in or you're not.
Yeah.
And you're all in. And
I am.
that's why you're going to make it, because there's no plan B. It's real estate or nothing.
Yeah.
In terms of your outlook for, you know, obviously we just finished Q1 of 2024.
Yeah.
In terms of your outlook for the rest of the year, what are some things that you're looking forward to, whether it's personal or real estate related?
Personally, let's start with that. I am actually looking to go on a couple of hiking trips that
Nice.
My husband and I have been kind of YouTubing about, and we're just going crazy about it. He got like some sticks to go in the sand. I'm like, why do we need sticks? We can walk. So he's like, no, he's like going gung ho crazy about it.
All out, love that.
Oh my gosh!
Shout out to AJ.
Shout out to AJ.
In terms of like locations, you guys have like a top 5 list. Like, what does it look like?
Yes. So we definitely want to make sure we hit all the most attractive spots in California first.
Okay.
But he's definitely got Utah, Colorado, all these
Arizona.
places out there. Arizona, and he's a big Jeep geek, so he wants to go Jeeping too. He didn't make it for the Easter Safari, which he always does. But in fact, he's actually going this weekend to see the eclipse out in Texas.
Nice.
Which is a big thing apparently. He's like, don't you want to come? I was like, well, I have to go to Temecula and I have to go to Fallbrook. He's like, I'm done with you. I can't. But yeah, I mean, God bless him. I wouldn't be in this business in San Diego if it wasn't for his support. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Love hearing that. We love him here.
blessed.
He's a great guy, and I'm excited for your guys' travels. Excited to hear about that.
Thank you.
Definitely, obviously, at Arizona, the list, Sedona specifically,
Yeah.
Flagstaff.
Yeah,
In
Flagstaff.
terms of where you're at now,
Mm-hmm.
compared to where you ever thought you would be.
Yeah.
If you can look back and talk to 18-year-old Christine, what are you telling that young adult woman right now?
yeah, wow, that's such a deep question because the experiences that I have personally been through in my life have shaped me into who I am. I never used to be this calm. I never used to be this collected.
I'm right there with you.
I used to be full of anxiety. I was very angry, and I was just all over the place. Like I could not focus on one thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because I was so used to, I started working at a young age of 16 and I got financially independent then, and I always felt that it was something that I needed to do for myself. But if I could go back to the 18-year-old Christine, I would just say the road ahead is going to have so many opportunities, and a part of those are going to be challenges, and it's going to be a bumpy road, and I would just tell myself, embrace it. Because it's not about that destination which you're going to get to. It's about that journey.
100%.
And I wish I knew this at 18 because I missed out on so much.
I mean, we all do, right? And I kind of just got chills with you saying that, because that's a similar like path that I follow. And I knew at a very young age that it was going to be all on me. And you're probably around 14, 15 years old. I had some support from some people, some important people in my life, but I knew that my happiness and success was going to be 100% on me solely, right? Because at the end of the day, you owe yourself, nobody else owes you anything. And oftentimes we find ourselves in these circumstances and situations that we're not happy about, we're not proud of, we don't feel good about.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when it comes down to is that where you're at and what's happening to you, what's happening for you in life, it may not be your fault.
Correct.
It may not be your responsibility for getting there.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's 100%, 1,000,000% through the roof, your responsibility to get out of it.
Yeah, and how we react to it.
Exactly. And take it furthermore, it's how we respond.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes if you look at reactions, it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction to something that happens. That's where when you're able to respond in a way to where you're calm, cool, collected the way you are now. Because I was the same way when I was younger. when you're able to respond to things the right way, it doesn't matter what happens to you or what happens for you.
Yeah.
It matters how you're going to grow through what you go through.
Absolutely.
And how you're going to get to the next level of your life, because it is about the journey, not the destination.
It really is. And right now, where I'm at professionally, I'm right where I want to be.
Love that.
Not exactly at the pace that I'd like to be, but that's just the competitive side of me.
100%.
I'm never going to stop.
Of course.
There are some uphill battles mentally for me to get through, but I'm determined. So I'm really looking forward to, well, this year.
I am too. I'm excited for you. I'm excited about what the rest of the year looks like for you and kind of the direction that you're headed, because the momentum's about to pick up.
Yeah.
So again, just like Jamie said, you're going to make it. It might take a little bit of time, but keep going.
Yep.
In terms of obviously your perspective of where you ultimately want to be for you, your family, and your career, and we talk a lot, especially here at DAG. It's something that we're asking everyone, and I talk with everyone on this show, is legacy.
Yeah.
Legacy is a huge component to what we're trying to push as individuals, because at the end of the day, it's what we leave behind, is the impact we make on the people around us. Is, at least to me, is the most important thing about life.
Yeah.
When you think of the word legacy, what does that mean to you? And what's the importance of that to your life?
Yeah, I've tried to think about this before, and I'm not sure I just have one answer for it, but I do have an idea of what I want my people to remember me for as a legacy. And what that is, and I'll start off with my daughters, just because, I was a single mom. I think I shared this with you for many, many years. I think they always saw me as a soldier more than anything. Like, I just never stopped. And I think another thing that I battle with is because I became like that, I don't know now how to back off of that.
Of course.
So I have slowed down a little bit with that, which is okay. I'm dealing with that. But what I really want to leave behind as a legacy is I want people to realize that I truly cared about their well being. I cared about being a part of that story. And no matter what memories were made during that journey or after, like, Christine was part of it. We'll always remember her for that. So
super sweet. It's amazing. Again, honored to have you as a part of the team. It's people like you that make this team so diverse and so different, and allows us to kind of grow. Because we like to think that we are a team of a very diverse group of people that have obviously all different walks of life and have a lot of different directions that we're headed at, but we're also headed in that way collectively. So
absolutely.
Thank you for joining me.
Well,
I appreciate your time.
I loved being here. I think this was awesome.
It's gonna be a good time. I'm excited to get you back. I appreciate you joining.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for checking out episode 3 of the DAG Life podcast with my friend Christine Menezes here at the DNAGLR Group. We'll see you guys next time.